Nicola Sturgeon would hand Scotland's sovereignty to the EU if the country gained independence, despite claiming Boris Johnson is scared of democracy. Ms. Sturgeon's independence plans were in tatters after a leading trade unionist told Express she would immediately hand over control to Brussels. This was as the First Minister said Prime Minister Boris Johnson had no chance of standing in the war of a second independence referendum should her Scottish National Party (SNP) win a landslide in the upcoming Holyrood elections. It is widely believed that if the party runs on a campaign that promises another vote and wins an even bigger majority, then Westminster will be forced to transfer the necessary powers to Holyrood to call an independence ballot. Such is the belief that the SNP will win a landslide that Ms. Sturgeon yesterday said she will hold an advisory referendum regardless of whether Westminster consents. Her party is setting out an 11-point roadmap for taking forward another vote. This was said to have been presented to SNP members on Sunday. Yet, while Ms. Sturgeon appears resolute in her cutting ties with Westminster, Paul Embury, a trade unionist and Labour member, told Express.co.uk that the Scotswoman would just as quickly pass any newfound freedom to the EU. This would, he said, fly in the face of many of the arguments the SNP pushes for independence, democratic control, national self-determination and identity and full political decision-making transferred to Holyrood. Mr. Embury said, "It's the policy on independence and the EU, they're completely inconsistent. They, the SNP, say they want to be independent from Britain because they think they'll be better off outside, yet the first thing they do is hop back into bed with the Europeans and trade their newly found sovereignty for membership of the EU club. That policy has always struck me as completely bizarre and I don't think they're ever probed enough on it to explain that inconsistency." The people of Scotland voted overwhelmingly to stay a part of the EU, around 62% of the electorate. Ms. Sturgeon yesterday told the BBC's Andrew Marr that Mr. Johnson was frightened of democracy as the majority of polls show Scotland wants independence. She said, "If the SNP win the Scottish election in a few months' time on a proposition of giving the people that choice, then what Democrat could rightly stand in the way of that? Boris Johnson clearly fears the verdict of the will of the Scottish people.